it's just so great to finally have something that I really love and enjoy. So yeah. Hello, beautiful people of the internet. I have decided to join the YouTube world and the knitting world and make a knitting podcast. So this is my first ever episode, so bear with me as I try to learn how to talk to a camera and edit videos. I think that a YouTube channel should have a start here video where they talk about themselves and what the channel's going to be about. So I figured that this episode would be that. I would just talk about myself and what my channel's going to be about. So if you want to learn more, stick around and let's get started. So my name is Rebecca and I'm 26 years old. My mom taught me how to knit when I was little. We would go to yarn shops together and I would work on like a scarf or a hat or something small and basic. And eventually I stopped knitting. I don't know why. I just kind of got tired of it, I guess. And I didn't pick it up until around last year. So around last year, I was working 3 days a week and had 4 days off. So I was either hiking or bored at home. And so I decided to pick up knitting. I really got into knitting when I saw the Instagram knitting world. Seeing these beautiful, modern, classy patterns just really like changed everything. Because as a kid, I wasn't exposed to that. I felt like things were like old lady-like, which is not a negative thing. I'm an old lady at heart. But as a kid, it was just kind of like a little bit of a turnoff. So seeing the knitting world on Instagram and seeing people my age designing and creating these beautiful patterns just really kicked off like my knitting mojo. So then I entered into the whole YouTube world about how knitting is sustainable, which I never thought of as a kid. It's kind of nice to know that I'm creating something that's not harming the earth. So that's really nice. And then also I went down the rabbit hole of naturally dyed yarn, which is something that I want to do one day, but I just can't right now. So so all of that was happening like at the same time. And then also a yarn crawl was happening in my state. So a yarn crawl is when participating yarn stores get together and you basically get to visit all of these stores and get a stamp every time you go. And at the end, you can sign up for like a raffle to win gifts from each store. So that was a fun way to see other stores around where I live and kind of meet new people, and then also win little prizes. So all of that just really helped the knitting mojo, and it has been so fun for me to really be involved in this because I'm someone who kind of gets bored easily and just not interested in things after a while, and that hasn't happened to me yet so far in the year that I've been learning how to knit and learning new styles. And it's just so great to finally have something that I really love and enjoy. So yeah. I am a monogamous knitter, not by choice, but because I kind of have to be, since I love looking at patterns, and if I were to start a new pattern, every single time I saw something that I liked, I would just have piles and piles of unfinished projects. So I am a monogamous knitter because I have to be, and if not, I won't get anything done. So yeah. I also learned how to knit the American style of knitting. I learned that when I was little, so that's what I've always done. I have started to get interested in learning different techniques. I think I had no idea that there were so many different ways to knit and make stitches. So it's been really, really exciting to just learn more and more about the knitting world. So I think I want to try the continental and the Norwegian purl because seed stitching in the American style kind of really affects my wrists. So that is one of my goals, is to learn those two techniques. So that's a little bit about me. I figured I could also talk in this episode about all of my projects that I've made in the year that I've done knitting. So if you want to see that, stick around. Okay, so I have a binder with all of the patterns that I want to make. See, this is like a lot of patterns. I can't possibly have started all of these. So, but I also have the patterns here that I've made. So I figured I would start with showing like a picture of the pattern and the designer, and then a picture of how my project turned out. So, all right. The first project that I ever made in this year was a gift for my grandma. It was the Snowfall Cowl, and I don't have the yarn information. I got the yarn in as a kit from one of the yarn crawl stores. So I don't have the label. At the time I didn't think about keeping it, so I don't have it. There's 2 projects that I don't have the label for. That will never be a mistake ever again. So a little bit of a pearl of wisdom to anyone that's new. Keep the label. You're gonna want it. I promise you, you're gonna want it. So just keep at least one. The other thing is that I wanted to change I wanted the cowl to cover my grandma's shoulders. So I changed the amount of stitches, but by doing that, it didn't exactly turn out the way I had planned in my head. I still liked the way it turned out, but it wasn't what I was expecting. But I do think she looks super cute in it, so yeah. The next pattern that I made was the Bankhead hat, and I made that for my boyfriend. I have it here. This is the hat, and I wish I had made it longer because he can't exactly wear it. He can't like fold it and have it to cover his head. It's too short. So I wish I made it longer. I just didn't want him to try it on because I wanted it to be a Christmas gift. And since he sees me knitting, I don't want him to like think that it was for him because I told him that it was for my brother. So anyways, now I know to make it much longer than this. And the yarn that I used for that is here. This is the label. So Alegría Grande is the yarn company. So Alegría Grande semi-color, and it's Oceano. The next project that I made was a little gnome for my mom. The pattern's Oh Gnome You Didn't. And I made her that for like Thanksgiving, so it's in Thanksgiving colors. This is also the other project that I don't have the label for. It also came with a kit from one of the yarn crawl stores. So that was that. I had a lot of fun making that little gnome. I thought it was very cute. I do know that it was a fingering weight yarn. So the next project is the Haze cardigan that I made from Rowan, and that I used the Rowan Big Wool Pantomime in number 79. That project, I should have made it in a small. I should have made it in an extra small. I made it in a small, but it's so heavy. It's just so big, and I ended up having like really tight tension. So I needed more balls of yarn than what it called for. So it's not, I don't really wear it. I feel like I'm disappearing in it. I wish I had just made it into like a blanket or something because I like the yarn. It's just too big. So I just feel like I'm disappearing when I'm wearing it. Yeah. Ooh, okay, so the next sweater is the Hazy Sky sweater, and I love this sweater. I have it here next to me. I'll also put up a picture. So this is the sweater. Again, since I'm a beginner, I made a lot of mistakes. And so when I did the Rowan cardigan sweater, I realized that I don't like to seam. And I just didn't like the way the cardigan looked with like having the panels and everything connected. Probably because don't know how to seam properly since I'm new. So it just didn't come out as neat and as clean as I would have liked. So I wanted to make the Hazy Sky sweater like in the round, but I didn't have yet like the concept of how to do that. So I knitted the body. I'm knitting the body in the round, and I didn't make the holes for the arms. So I had to like frog all of that, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll just knit to a portion of where like the armholes are gonna be, and then I'll just split it. But then I couldn't figure out how much of the body and how much of the sleeve depth would be, so I had to frog again. Finally, I knitted the body, just like the front and the back, and then when I was knitting the sleeves, I thought that because I was thinking in the same way that it's asking for a front and a back, I thought that the pattern was asking for a front sleeve and the back sleeve, a front sleeve and a back sleeve, like 4 panels. So I was like, well, I know how to knit this in the round because I'll just double the amount of stitches. So the sleeves came out ginormous because I doubled the amount of stitches. Nowhere does the pattern say to do that. The pattern was just simply asking for, let's say, like 70 stitches of just a sleeve, and then you were gonna like seam it together, like make it round. Oh my gosh. So I'm knitting this and I'm like, why are these sleeves so big? This doesn't make any sense. So I kept on like frogging and then redoing, like trying to count my stitches until finally it clicked in my brain that it was asking for just the 70 stitches, let's say, and then you were just supposed to seam it together. So what I did was I ended up just, I did end up making it in the round by just doing like having 1 extra stitch so that the pattern still like flowed and went like smoothly. So the only thing that I seamed was the body and then the sleeves to the body. So the sleeves are done in the round. So I love this pattern. It's such a great beginner pattern, and if you know how to read, it will go fine. So I knitted that in the Petite Wool Yarnicorn and Spotted Mauve. Ooh, okay. So the next sweater that I made is this sweater. This is the Fine Line Sweater by Lily Kate France. She goes by Lily Kate Makes on Instagram, and I love her patterns. I think her patterns are so classy but modern. I have a similar style to her, so I just love her patterns. I think I have bought 9 of her patterns. I love them. So this sweater was made with Sorella's Richard and Rory colorway in Stellina and mohair. And I don't know what math I did, but I ended up picking the wrong like base of yarn. And so I had to hold 3 strands of yarn to meet the gauge. But I had bought enough skeins of yarn to be able to do that. So that wasn't the intention. The intention was to just have 1 strand of yarn holding with the mohair. It ended up being 2 strands of yarn with the mohair. So I don't know how I did it, but I did it. The only thing is that I ended up shortening the sleeves. The sleeves are supposed to go to the wrist. I felt like I was gonna run out of yarn, so I cut it to like elbow length. The next project that I made was the Giselle blouse, and that, I have it here. It looks a little bit funny when I hold it up like this. It just looks a little bit Wonky. But it's such a beautiful blouse. I really love it. The yarn is from Ocean Fibers in Snuggle Buddies, and it's a kid silk and a sock yarn. This project I had trouble with because I was knitting the body, and I knit the body way too tight. So I ended up having to frog it and doing it in a small size, and I just didn't enjoy knitting this from the bottom up. I don't like not knowing like where to do the straps or like how much of the body to make, like where it's gonna like sit on me. So I learned that I don't really like bottom up, and I don't see like the benefits to knitting the bottom up. If someone wants to explain that to me, that would be nice, because I am not sure the benefits of the bottom up. I prefer a top down style, because then I can kind of alternate and figure out like how much of the length of the body I want. So that's the only like complaint I have, but I didn't know that I was not gonna like that because I had never done it before. So now I know. And the last project that I finished yesterday is the sand grain slipover, and I knitted that for my mom. I'll be right back to go grab it. Okay, so here is the sand grain slipover. I made this vest for my mom. I wanted to make like matching sweaters or sweaters in similar shades of green because we plan on going to Ireland at some point, and I wanted to have like matching sweaters. And the yarn that I used is the Hip Knit from Hip Knit Shop, and it's Pop. And this is the label in case you want to know. And it's in the color Olive Garden. So that was that. This was also my first cable project ever. And I didn't have cable needles. So I went on YouTube to find out how to do cables without a cable needle. And I did this whole project without cable needles, which was fine. But I'm really proud of this. I think it came out really nice. It looks very clean. There is a mistake somewhere, it's on the back actually, that I didn't realize the mistake until it was a little bit too late, and I didn't know, like looking at the chart, which was also the first time that I was reading a chart. So looking at the chart, I just didn't know where that mistake occurred and like what row for me to like frog it. So I asked my mom, and she said that she didn't mind. So there's just a little bit of mistake in the cable. One's just like a little bit longer than it's supposed to be. And it's on the back, so I did make a mistake in the front, and I did fix that mistake because I like caught it, so then I knew what row I was on, so then I just frogged each row. Like I was like, okay, this is row 29, this is row 28, this is row 27. So like I just frogged it until I reached that point, so I knew what number that row was so that I can continue with the project. So, but I'm really proud of how this came out. I think it looks super nice and clean. So, yeah. So those are all my projects that I've worked on in the year of my knitting journey. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm pretty happy and just very excited for the next projects that I have. I hope you enjoyed this video and hope to see you in the next one. Bye!